Before I go on with the talk, and I actually could have 3 different talks today, and somehow or another, I guess my computer and software thought that, because this morning I always finish up my talks on the Sunday morning. You know, I put it all together. For some reason, Microsoft Word decided to sort of disappear, and yet I could open up old documents and I could see them, but today's talk was gray, completely gray. It was like, oh, that's so interesting. And yet here I am, and I know all of you know that I'm often known for writing this whole thing and then not using it at all. But the thought this morning of like, well, where's my talk? What am I going to say? Where are my quotes? It was a moment of an opportunity to breathe, which I didn't do. I just ran here. So anyway, I have a lot. I have a lot, and I had 3 different talks. And so let's just see what emerges today. But before I get into all of that, actually, Spencer, could I ask you to give me the house stage lights more than these, if you can? I want to bring your attention, in my best Vanna way, to our lovely new banners. And those of you who got the e-blast may have seen the announcement. I'm going to do this alphabetically, I think. Is Connie Asquith, Christine Wright, and Catherine Wright. So they're both Wrights, and they're not even sisters, but I had to do C and D. Are those my 3 artistic angels? Are you here to stand and be adored? There she is. There they are. Thank you, and we can return. Thank you, Spencer. So the idea was that we had been talking for over a year, about wanting banners or something else, and then it was like, now we've settled and the paint's dry, et cetera, and we got together and Catherine came, and then Connie, and then they brought in Christine, and they had designs and all of that, and then we narrowed down kind of what we wanted, and then the 3 of them went on a field trip to Roseville. Hard work, and then they went to a fabric store and they had these ideas and doing all this, and then they're sending me things on the iPhone, going, "How about this one? Do you like this one? What is this?" And just talking through and all of this, and so trying to design by phone, and then we came up with this, but they did that. But what you do need to know that, yes, there was this collective consciousness, artistic consciousness, and they outpictured my desire request beautifully. But Catherine hand-sewed these. And there are 2 more that are going to come, so we can use them rotationally. But I encourage you after service to come up and look at the detail and the beauty and how incredibly it matched our theme, our colors. So thank you, ladies. Thank you. It's a great way to start the new year. And I Am Love. It's a great way for the Valentine Love Month. And I know usually everybody does love in February, and Hallmark and Seas make all that money and stuff. This year we have the Olympics, so I thought, well, let's focus on that. Hence this month's theme of Ready, Set, Gold. Because we're getting ready, we're setting ourselves up, we're using our skills, our tools, and we are preparing for the golden life, because the year's theme is passion and purpose. That's for our whole year, and the Olympics do that. But I'm going to talk more about the Olympics next week. This week, as I said, is kind of more about animal kinship. So it is the year of the horse. And for those of you who just think, oh, Chinese New Year, well, Sandy and I went to have Chinese food on Chinese New Year, and I kept saying Happy New Year to people, and they thought I was a little off. It's like, this is a big holiday. In fact, it is the most important holiday in the Chinese culture for the New Year. It's based on the lunar calendar. And legend has it, and this is where the spiritual part comes in, legend has it that Buddha called forth all the animals to come and meet with him. And 12 of them arrived. And so he decided to choose those 12 and name a year after each one, in honor of each one. And the legend also says that the qualities of those animals will be outpictured in the people that are born in those years. And I think I looked it up because I didn't know that much about the year of the horse, and they're cheerful, skillful, with money, perceptive, witty, and talented, such as Rembrandt, Sandra Day O'Connor, Harrison Ford, or Theodore Roosevelt. Do we have any horse year people here today? Nobody? There's one. Yay! Tally ho! in Chinese. I don't know Chinese enough. So that's that. Then today is also another important animal day because Punxsutawney Phil, supposedly we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. We just need it to be wet. And however, you do need to know, although this is the 101st year that Phil has come out about looking for his shadow, and the national climate, whatever official thing that is back there, says that he's usually wrong. So, but he's a little groundhog. What are you going to do? What does he know about meteorology? He just knows what he sees. So today is Groundhog's Day, which reminds me of that incredible. How many of you have seen the film with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day? Oh, great. I keep thinking we ought to run it here. And I may allude to that because the concept of Groundhog's Day is near and dear to anybody with an OCD, ADD heart, Oh, you laugh. So you know of which I speak, the concept of it playing over and over again and repeating itself. So we'll get to that. And today is yet another exciting day. And I know you guys have known me probably for 5 or 6 of these, but this is a very important day for, here we have the Olympics coming up, and then today's this huge sports day. 10th anniversary of the Puppy Bowl. Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo! Now, you see, I can lead with that because the 49ers aren't in the Super Bowl, or otherwise I know you'd throw things at me. So for the Puppy Bowl, Animal Planet created that 10 years ago for those of us who go, football? Huh? And it's become incredibly popular. There are now 12.4 million viewers. And it's an alternative, an option, so that, in between, see, what I usually do is I watch the Puppy Bowl in one room, Don is in another room, and then I come out for the commercials and the halftime show. And it's hours. It's like a 12-hour marathon of watching puppies play on a simulated football field, and there's a puppy cam under their water bowl, so you get to see them and play and toss ball. It's fabulous. It's so fabulous that you guys are laughing and thinking, what the heck is she talking about? So much so that now Hallmark has decided to join the game, and today also will be the Kitten Bowl. Just for the record, Animal Planet's Puppy Bowl has always had a kitty halftime show. So it has been equal rights. But Hallmark wants to get in the game and play along. And yet, then there's even a third now, which I think is even more of a kiddie bowl than the one that they're planning, which is National Geographic is joining the game. And we're going to have what they think is the really only bowl to watch, which is the Goldfish Bowl. I kid you not. I don't make this up. And you could watch Goldie the goldfish for 4 hours swimming, which I think is actually a kiddie bowl, because if you turn it on for your cats, then they get to watch Goldie while you're watching the Super Bowl and I'm in Puppy Bowl heaven. So it's a big day. It is a big month for sports. Ready, set, gold. We get to do this. And I want to kind of recap a little about last week's talk, because I heard from a lot of people, there was something about whatever it was that I said last week that resonated. And this week in our Science of Mind magazine circle, we talked about it. Many of the people were asking me questions about it, and we began. So for those of you who weren't in attendance last Sunday, I was talking about finding your voice, finding your authenticity, speaking one's truth, and that sometimes many of us were raised where that wasn't acceptable, that wasn't safe, that we were taught or raised by people who were taught that children should be seen and not heard. And that as a result of that, sometimes we don't speak our truth. We don't speak our voice. So that began this whole conversation. And then we came into the Science of Mind magazine circle, and there was this huge serendipity going on. I had read last week a piece from Marianne Williamson's new book, Everyday Miracles, which I think we even have a new one in the bookstore. And it turned out to be the same, Hazel brought that one, and it turned out to be the same piece that Christina Dennis opened up to that week. The same one, number 80. So I thought, ooh, there's something to it. So I brought it to read. I wanted to start with that. So this is from Marianne Williamson's book. And as I said last week, it's done by day numbers. It's not done by dates. So chronologically, you can do exactly what they did, is just open it up and That's the one you need to hear. So this is on the holiness of a quiet moment. There's a way of relaxing into our center, letting other people have their say, knowing our being is even more radiant at times when we're in a space of not doing. When the ego steps back, the power of God steps forward. Too often we feel we're invisible unless we're making the cool comment, doing this or doing that. But we're so much more powerful when grounded in silence. Taking a deep breath, powerful, that what you don't say can be as powerful as what you do say. Thinking deeply about something before making a response, such actions leave room for the spirit to flow, to harmonize your circumstances and move them in a more positive direction. How many times have we felt we've blown it by simply talking when later we wish we hadn't had, or by showing off when we could have just sat there and seemed intriguing? God's Spirit will always reveal the truth to us if we simply don't block His guidance. And we block it by talking first, attitudinally walking ahead of the truth. I love that sentence. And we block it by talking first, attitudinally walking ahead of the truth. This happens when we push too hard, tried frantically to make things happen or keep things from happening because we lack faith in an invisible order of things. That is why a holy instant matters. It is a moment of quiet when the Spirit enters and makes right all things. Wow. Because we lack a faith in an invisible order of things. How many times do we jump in with a sentence or try to do something, try to fix something, and not trust the higher order and the process that's going on? And that, too, applies in what we were talking about this week, in that not having or feeling that you have something to say. And Norman Mailer wrote, "I don't think life is absurd. I think we are all here for a huge purpose. I think we shrink from the immensity of the purpose that we are here for." And I went, wow, well, that ties in. And maybe that's why Spirit was nudging me to have passion and purpose be the theme for this year. Because we often shrink from our purpose. We often deny or put in the back closet our passion. And along with that, probably sometimes we don't even use our voice. We don't talk about what's important to us, to our spouse, our people in our workplace, to our community members, but most importantly, to ourselves. So we have this opportunity to do that. So we began talking some more. It was filled with conversation on Thursday. It's really a lively group. You should join us. And we were talking about the concept and being sort of different, whether it's because maybe you have OCD or ADD, or maybe you were so unique and artistic as a youngster, nobody knew what to do with you. And so it evolved into the conversation where it became that many of us were talking about being the black sheep of the family. And we were laughing, and I don't know how many of you feel that way, but you grow up because you just feel so different, so weird, that you're the black sheep of the family. And so whether it's you're following an artistic path or you're following something really wacky doodle like science of mind, religious science, and a lot of your friends and relatives are more dogmatic or traditional Christian in faiths and think that, you're Southern California, losing it, and New Age airy-fairy, but whatever it is by which you think that you're a black sheep, that you're the one that's different from the herd. Well, our resident, one of our congregants and our resident former anthropologist, animal husbandry, veterinarian scholar, Bill Herron, attends the group. And what Bill quietly chimed in and shared with us was, you all know that black sheep is the idiom we use in the English language to kind of separate someone. Oh, the black sheep of the family, right? That there's a negative energy to that. Well, Bill changed that in a second. What he told us, which I didn't know, is that black sheep are hugely important to the herd. That when the shepherd or the farmer is working with the flock, what he does is he counts the black sheep. If he misses a black sheep, then he knows some of the white sheep are missing. So the black sheep are significant leaders within the flock, not the weirdos, not the less thans, but they serve a huge purpose in the flock by being the black sheep. man, I'm still getting chills. I suddenly, well, it was an emotional, exciting group, and I was like, oh my God, I've spent my entire life feeling poorly about, disclaiming, I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean, justifying, trying to make sense of, and apologizing for being a black sheep. No more. I was raised by a black sheep, which I saw what that did to her. So I tried to be a white sheep. I tried to be white little Mary's good little lamb, I tried to do that. Didn't work. I ended up being a black sheep by default because it was there and because it's whoever I am, however I am, or however you or we might be. But no longer do I have to hold on to the idea that being a black sheep is wrong or less than. And that, to me, was startling. It turned a huge amount of things around. And wait, I had a quote on that somewhere. I know I did. Okay. Alan Watts said, "Waking up to who you are requires letting go of who you imagine yourself to be."
Can you say that again?
I will. I kind of think I need to put it on, write it on my hand or my arm so that I walk around for a while until I really grok the power of what I just shared with you, because it's been doing this to me all week. And Alan Watts, well, just remember, farmers count the black sheep in proportion to the total number of sheep, so they are leaders in their own right. And Alan Watts says, waking up to who you are requires letting go of who you imagine yourself to be. Now, of course, that could also work the other way. I mean, you could imagine yourself to be really, fabulous and, aggrandized and do all that, and maybe you have to wake up and realize there's a balance. Or maybe it's just waking up that you are fabulous and great, and now it's time to know that. Or maybe it's time that you wake up and you say, I'm a black sheep. Yay! And you can look in the mirror and face yourself instead of trying to don different coats or hats or sunglasses or dialects or behaviors that will, cover up the fact that you're different and fit in. You don't have to do that anymore. And that's exactly why, although it wasn't defined like that in the program when I walked into my first religious science church, but the idea of going to a Center for Spiritual Living and following Science of Mind, where it was okay to think and feel the way that I thought and felt. But it doesn't change overnight. Any of you who have been in this teaching long enough know that you come in and you hear this and you get all excited, and then you have to do the work. Then you have to look at it. And then you have to think, okay, I have black fur. Instead they have white. Most everybody has that, and they're all going that way. And then you become a lemming and you go that way. And that is what I love about this philosophy. The ability to take the philosophy, to take all the wisdom of Ernest Holmes, and I do, to take the wisdom of our current mystical leaders, whether it's Eckhart Tolle, Marianne Williamson, Deepak, and et cetera, or my new guy, which I mentioned last week, my Joe Dispenza. Breaking the habit of being yourself. If we narrowed down maybe 5, I don't know, I'm going to do this off the top of my head, 5 to 10 new thought or religious science or self-help books, this would be in one of my top 10. You could read this with an Ernie book, Uncle Ernie book, and probably the 4 Agreements. You could have a smaller library than I have. But it's so brilliant and it's so easy, and I'm going to get to him in just a second. So you have this opportunity to recognize where you are in the flock and to be thrilled by it. To allow it to be your signature, your authentic voice, your authentic fleece, your whoever you are, whatever you're doing. And again, Mr. Dispenza says, greatness is holding fast to a dream independent of your environment. Greatness is holding fast to a dream independent of your environment. So if you're a black sheep in a big giant flock of white sheep, But you have dreams, and you want to lead, despite the fact that other white sheep might be doing whatever they're doing. And of course, I will have to go back to, one of my other favorite movies, Babe. Doesn't that movie just make you go, yeah, I know. You get to be independently great. And I don't doubt that any or many of the players that are playing in whatever bowl that is today, I don't know the number of that Super Bowl, and they're not really teams that I know about, but they had to be thinking that way. Certainly the people who are gearing up for the start of the Olympics on Friday had to be thinking that way, or they wouldn't have qualified. They wouldn't be putting themselves into this environment so that they could be ready, set, and go for the gold of their life, in this case, the competitive sport. But it's about that passion and purpose. And that's one of the things that I think that we resonate to when we see sportsmen go for that, when women are competing, when we get to do this and there is a Super Bowl, that we honor the skill, we honor the courage. And of course, the news is filled with all the stories of the different people who are competing, who have come from challenged backgrounds or lives. And we're inspired by that because the little black sheep in us goes, oh, if only it could be me doing that. And so Joe Dispenza talks about in the book, which is so Ernest Holmes, the quantum model of reality tells us that to change our lives, we must fundamentally change the way we think, act, and feel. So he's expounding a little bit on what Ernest said about change your thinking to change your life. He's saying you got to do the whole 9 yards. Is 9 yards a football term? No? Okay. Because how we think, feel, and behave is in essence our personality. It is our personality that creates our personal reality. It is our personality that creates our personal reality. So to create a new personal reality, a new life, we must create a new personality. We must become someone else. To change then is to think and act greater than our present circumstances, greater than our environment. Breaking the habit of being yourself. To change then is to think and act greater than our present circumstances, greater than our environment. And if all you see are white sheep around you, you need to be thinking greater than that. Maybe you need to just crane your head up against the flock and look for some of the other black sheep and go, right on. See you at the pub, or whatever they do. I don't know what they do. But you get what I'm talking about here. It's really about finding one's own passion and purpose, allowing for one's voice to be heard, both out here in the world around you, but primarily listening to your own voice. We don't do that. And that's one of the reasons I believe that people teach, a spiritual practice, mindfulness, meditation, and what we know from the Bible about listening to the still small voice of God. To be able to hear your own voice, to hear your own truth. You must hear it, honor it, work with it, before you can speak it out there. And if you don't hear it and honor it and work with it, then you can't change your thinking, and you can't change how you feel, how you act, how the world outpictures for you. So the concept that we can use of passion and purpose in this wonderful new year, with the Olympics inspiring us as they will, wow, we get to get in touch with that. We get to own those parts of ourselves that we have disowned. And please understand that when we get in touch with some of the stuff that we disown, some of the things that maybe we don't like or that's been hard, that doesn't mean that we, I dream of Jeannie and they're gone. It's a part of who we are. What we do is we get to honor it, we get to understand it, we get to bless it, and we get to engage it and own that part. We don't want to disown and break away. We don't want to get rid of any of it, because whatever costumed black sheep you have been for however long in your life was there for a purpose. So you get to perhaps hang up the costume and be who you are, but you don't destroy the costume. That would be coming out of fear. Get it away, go ahead, I want to know it. I don't want it, because then it's fearful that you're going to have to put it on again. Just hang it on a coat rack, put it somewhere else, and then start to be comfortable as who you are. Being comfortable in your skin, in your thoughts. And where it doesn't feel comfortable, then taking the steps, using the tools and the practices that we offer you, use them to change. And maybe you just need to change the flock you're hanging out with. I don't know, but you do. Whatever it is that is calling to you. So now that I've kind of led that, I can tell you today's talk title, because if I had started with it, you would have gone, what? In honor, Baa Ram You. But I'm spelling it differently this time. Baa Ram, Y-O-U. And if you did see the film, and if you didn't, rent it, I'll loan it to you or something. It's a dear, sweet film. But in it, Babe listens to the sheep, and the sheep have a mantra. The sheep have a mantra. So Babe learns the mantra, and here's what Baa Ram You, here's the little, what it means. How many of you know this? Baa Ram You means, to your breed, your fleece, your stock be true, sheep be true, Baa Ram You. I know. Baa Ram, Y-O-U. You. If you're a sheep, and please, let me make sure I do this right. If you happen to be a white sheep, please do not feel that I'm now picking on you because I'm a black sheep finally, going, ERA, here's my power, black sheep, Baa Ram You. I'm not. This isn't to further separate us. Truly. This is not to judge that being a white sheep isn't wonderful, because the white sheep are what people use to know and understand the flock, and they have fleece, and it's a great symbol, and white sheep are wonderful, as are black sheep. So I just need you to hear that this isn't me starting a kind of, quiet revolution with all the black sheep. We're meeting at 6 o'clock tonight behind the barn. Baa Ram You. Although that's what they did in the movie. They had their own mantra so that they knew each other, so that they could recognize and hear one another. So perhaps each of us need our own mantra or word or phrase, something so that we can hear one another and not feel disenfranchised, not feel separate. And that's part of what the general purpose and motto of Centers for Spiritual Living is, to work for a world that works for everyone and to heal the disenfranchisement of the people on this planet. And I think that's a noble goal. We want to do that. And we gotta start here in ourselves, because if we're disenfranchised on any level, if we're feeling separate on any level, how in the world can we engage the world, the planet, the universe? In the season for nonviolence that began on January 30th, where we're focusing on that in terms of the recognition in honor of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King, in what they did for peace. This is the season for nonviolence, January 30th through April. Anyway, I don't have that quite memorized. So our attention goes to that. And to me, and many of the people who have been here, you've taken classes in nonviolent communication, and Marshall Rosenberg's work is really significant. And I say the same thing. Let's not practice nonviolence. Let's not be disenfranchising ourselves. If we're a black sheep, but we're trying to fit in a white sheep world, we're separate. Instead, just be the black sheep with a bunch of white sheep. Be who you are as you are. And if there are things about you to change, then use these practices and these principles and the meditation to change them. But allow yourself your own passion and purpose. Because if you disenfranchise yourself from the people around you, if you're disenfranchising yourself from your own self and hiding who you are separating yourself from God. And that's where all the problems start. When we separate ourselves from spirit and we don't remember who we are, we don't remember our vitality, our purpose, our passion, our beingness, then we have stuff happen. And then we rail about the stuff and we complain and this and that and that, and we start this hamster treadmill. So we want to heal the separation. We want to heal the disenfranchisement. We want to own every facet of who we are, and then if we want to change some things, we'll change them. But this is really about being you. Y-O-U. I have a poem for you to close with. It's from Wendell Berry. I love this man's poetry. It's called The Real Work. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. I know. You want it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know where to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. So isn't this what the Olympics are about, the Super Bowl is about, what coming to a center is about? Doing the real work? Not allowing the impediments to stop you, but letting the stream sing. Celebrating your fleece, whatever color it may be. Who you are. And allowing yourself the power and the permission to break the habit of being yourself, because yourself, remember, was probably created as a kid when you didn't really know a whole heck of a lot of stuff. You were just barely learning communication, let alone interpersonal communications, and you learned how to do things, and you learned that you should be seen and not heard, and maybe not even seen because you might not fit the crowd, because you might be a little black sheep wearing a funny little hat. You need to shift that, because what you learned as a child may not be who you are inside. And yet, at the same time, who you are as a child may have the secret to that spark about your passion and your purpose. So again, your real work is within. And we just offer, road signs, tools, fresh water, a hug, a prayer, where you need it, so that you can do this work, find your real journey, and you can be the authentic being that you are, and know that it's good and you're loved and you're safe, and that you have a purpose. Your passion, your reality for being is still here, and I don't care what age you are or where you are on your career scale. You have a purpose for being here. And I'll go back to the Norman Mailer one. I don't think life is absurd. I think we are all here for a huge purpose. I think we shrink from the immensity of the purpose we are here for. No more shrinking. Let's expand into that which we know, that which has called us here, that which called you onto this planet, but that which called you to this teaching, this philosophy, your practice. That's what this is about. And if you need a little mantra along the way, Baa Ram You. Let's pray. To your breed, your fleece, your stock, be true. To thine own self, be true. True, the one, the whole, the perfect, the infinite mind, the one life of God, all that we are, all that we have always been, but perhaps today is the day when we wake up to that. And if we have been living a groundhog's kind of day, repeating the bad cycles, the negativity, and the erroneous beliefs over and over and over and over again, today we have the opportunity to break that pattern. Today we have the opportunity to break the habit of being our small s self and expand into our capital S spirit self. To be that which we are meant to be that which called us into this incarnation, which animated us to the point of living as this block of energy and molecules and atoms, so that we indeed recognize who we are. And that if we see before us a black sheep, a white sheep, a pink sheep, a green sheep, we just smile because it's a sheep, because we're one. Because we recognize the entire flock, the herd, as being a part of our community, an outpicturing of who we are. So we want to see the green, the black, the pink, the white, the etc. We want all of that because it is the facet of the infinite intelligence that we are and that we live. So I'm grateful to know right here and now today for myself, as I speak it in the first person so that you may speak along with it, that I am one with God. And one with God is a majority, even if I am standing out in the herd differently. Being different is celebrated. Being one is celebrated. I know that I am one with all of the facets of life. I know that today I begin the process of healing any sense of estrangement or disenfranchisement or separation that I may have had to others, to God, to myself, that this is the time to heal. I am ready, set, and getting ready for the gold of my life because that is the divine inheritance. And I say yes, I'm ready, willing and able to accept and receive. I am ready, willing and able to do the work on this path, on this journey with passion and with purpose. And I know that I have whatever it takes to support me on that path. The people, the places, the things, the thoughts, the affirmations, the breaths, the quiet time, the compassion I see in someone's eyes as they recognize me for who I am and honor my path as I honor theirs. As they say with the Indian custom, namaste, I honor, I greet, I respect the enlightened within you that is within me. So that's what I know. So today I namaste myself to all that I meet and to that heart and soul of who I am. Yes, it's a good new year. It is time, and I'm ready. So I'm grateful. And with that gratitude, with that confidence, I now just take all of this and I wrap it up and I give it back over to Spirit, so that the work can continue, so that I can do this process and follow my dream, my goal, and change my thinking, change my actions, change my feelings, change my life for the better. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. I now lovingly release this. I let it be. I ask that you join me as together we say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.